All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to Truth, Trust, and Trajectory with your girl, Shakimbi. Today, I have a special guest,
Samantha
Samantha.
Mazola.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about all sorts of good stuff today. So, Sam, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Samantha. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, and I am a life fitness and nutrition coach.
Awesome. And how did you get into that field of service?
So I was in the medical field for a really long time. I was there for about a decade, a little bit over. And I liked it a lot. I kind of liked helping people. I liked being in the atmosphere. But I started to realize that a lot of things that could be prevented or fixed with physical activity and nutrition weren't even being talked about. Medications are being prescribed at an astonishing rate, and less people are exercising and eating healthy. So I decided that I wanted to leave that field and really do something that was more aligned with kind of like my passion. And I love to work out. I've always been kind of like involved in fitness. And it just felt like the right thing to do.
Gotcha. Can you share the turning point in your life that led you to prioritize health, wellness, and spirituality? I know you just kind of covered it in that, but like, what was the actual like pin drop that you were just like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, that it was definitely the pandemic because during the pandemic, I had gotten to spend more time with my family and do things at home that I haven't done in a very, very long time. So
Mm,
it forced me to kind of slow down to like really look at myself. I did a lot of self-reflecting during the pandemic and realized that things in my life could definitely be going better and that I had control over changing that. And then not
yes.
only that, but I'm a role model. So I have a teenage son, and I knew that I really needed to lead my household better and make better choices.
Yeah, for sure. As a mom myself, I totally get that. So you want to lead by example, and I
Mhm.
feel like that's the influence that you leave on your kids is probably like one of the biggest marks that you'll ever leave in the world, right? Because
Right.
these are like copies of you. So you're sending them out into the world. So yeah, I totally align with that. What was the biggest challenge you faced during your transformation and how did you overcome it?
Oh, that was a really good question. I would say being overwhelmed and overstimulated, because it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So depending on how old you are, you build your life based on all of these habits that you're taught from childhood, and you
Mm,
take them on with you into adolescence, and teenager, adulthood, and they stick. So to kind of like up and just uproot everything and change all of that is difficult. It's definitely overwhelming, overstimulating because you're working on so many parts at the same time. So you're working on trying to balance your own fitness, your nutrition, make sure you stay hydrated, make sure that you're being a good parent, that you're a decent human being, make sure you get enough sleep, that you eat okay, did you shower today? That that can definitely be a job in itself, on top of the fact that you work full time. So I would say just like everyday life and just being able to like push through. At the end of the day, I had created a checklist. And it took me a long time to come up with that method, but I realized it was what was going to work best for me. So at night before I go to sleep, I kind of just lay in my bed and I check off my list. Anything that I was supposed to do, I have already listed and highlighted. Did I
mm,
get to all of these tasks today? And if I didn't, why not?
mm,
And then give myself a little bit of grace depending on what I was able to get done.
right. I love that. And then for someone feeling stuck, where should they begin their transformation journey? Like, what advice would you give them to kind of get started?
Yeah, so I think like back to like the basics, a
Mm,
vision board.
mm,
Literally just sitting down and creating a vision for yourself. Where do you actually see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to be standing in 5 years? And what do you want that to look like? And then creating a visual image of that you can constantly refer back to. That
mm,
way you're chipping away at it. You're just breaking off small pieces until you get to that end result. And you have something to constantly remind you. So now you have a vision board and you're looking at it, you have to really think to yourself, what is it going to take to get these things?
mm,
What is it going to take to get to this place? And then make very just small strides to get there.
yeah. I used to do vision boards when I was a kid. And then like it was like a lost art as I got older. And then like just back in the fall, I got my daughters together and we sat on the floor and did vision boards together. That was fun because all they did was fight the whole time. But
Nice.
it is. I feel like vision boards is a really good tool to utilize manifestation and just kind of like for people that might not necessarily know like the steps that need to be taken because a lot of people don't even know like what it is that they want, right? They just
Mhm.
know like the outcome of what they want.
Right.
So, like, do you have any suggestions for like someone that might be stuck in that place?
I would say definitely starting with like affirmations and meditation. So a
Mm,
lot of times your inner voice will talk to you. I know that
mm,
sounds crazy and sounds a little spiritual, but it truly is. And like you have all the answers that you need.
oh,
If you were to sit in a meditation, like a heavy meditation, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes,
mm,
you're guaranteed to almost feel redirected.
mm,
So I would start with meditating, then I would start with affirmations. And I would start them as in like I am strong, I am independent, I am wealthy. And then I love myself, I love myself enough. I love my family, I love my job. That way you're practicing gratitude at the same time. So you're showing appreciation to the universe and the things you already have. And
mm,
then literally just creating a different mindset. Um, yeah, and then you could always look into getting a coach. So a lot of places have free trials. I
mm,
know, me specifically, all of my consultations are free, and then I do one free session with my client where I can sit down with them and really go through their goals and break things down. And then there's no obligation to sign on. I always think that that's a really good tool that you can use, and most gyms supply that.
nice. I love that. What are some of the daily habits or practices that are most effective for you for maintaining your progress?
Absolutely. So sleep is wicked, wicked important, but if you have crazy goals, then you need to plan to have long days and long nights. It just depends on how you work and where exactly it is that you're trying to go. So I
Mm,
think the first habit that I created was being able to wake up at any time that I needed to. So
mm,
sometimes I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to either go for a run or to get to the gym. Sometimes I have to get up at 4:30. Every now and then I can sleep in until 8.
mm,
Um, but being able to do that on a whim. So I'm not able to, like, break my habits, like, just because, like, this is my lifestyle. If I have to get up at 4:30 tomorrow, I'm gonna get up.
mm,
Um, and then going to the gym, so my gym regimen doesn't change, and it doesn't matter about my mood, it doesn't matter how I feel or what's going on that day. Sometimes things get deterred, of course, but you always find a way to make it work, whether that be just a workout at the house or just trying to get a couple more steps in. It's part of the plan.
mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. It sounds like a lot of perseverance and self discipline. That's really what
Mhm.
that is. When you talked about like waking up at 4 a.m., I remember I was watching this episode on, I think, Lisa Bayou's TikTok. I forgot who she had on there, but the guy was talking about like, practicing self discipline by like
Mhm.
taking cold plunges and like cold showers. And I'm like, man, that's brutal, but like it does work, right? Because
Mhm.
the more you can like trick your mind into like staying calm, like you force your body has to then be in the compliance.
Right. And not only that, like mind over matter is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
It's just mind over matter. So I do cold plunges also.
Mm,
But I really think a lot of that started with being able to control with one, what you eat, and
mm,
then two, what time you start your day.
mm,
Because those are two things that people have the hardest time conquering. A lot of people struggle bad to wake up early in the morning, but that's because they spend way too much time on their phones and
yeah,
they're going to bed far too late.
yeah,
Too much consumption of screen time, and then it depends. A lot of things that I've been running into lately is like alcohol consumption, especially late at night. All of those things will literally like make or break your health and wellness journey.
for sure, for sure. And with the screen time, I noticed because this was really recent. There was one day where I just found myself like scrolling, see, like unnecessarily. I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like, let's stop but I have this habit of like picking up my phone every 2 seconds. Like I could be
Mhm.
watching something and really be invested in it. I'm like, let me check TikTok. So like the TV's now watching me. And I
Yep.
notice like when it's time to go to sleep, like the brain doesn't shut down. It's like cycling through all of this content and ideas and thoughts and everything that I've, ingested throughout the day.
It really is a practice, though. I struggle with it every single day. And anytime I get like the summary of my screen time, I'm always so disappointed.
You're like, oh man.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try again tomorrow though.
Yeah, me too.
Thank God there's always tomorrow. Um, how do you balance your physical, mental, and spiritual wellness in your life and coaching?
That's a good question too. It took a lot of practice, so it's not something that happens overnight. I made a lot of mistakes, like a lot of mistakes. I rebranded my company probably like 3 times. Um, I've had like some scheduling stuff between like my current job, my small business, and then working full time for somebody else has been very difficult. But you get into a flow of things. Everything takes time, everything takes an adjustment. And that's why I had mentioned being able to prepare to have early mornings and late nights because that's what it's going to be.
Yeah,
Um, Making, just knowing that you have to find a balance that works for you so that you know that you're taking care of yourself. You have your own health and wellness, it's being balanced. And then you're also doing what you were put on the earth to do. Nobody was put here to just work a 9 to 5 and then just retire. That's what we do to survive. What we do in our free time is really what matters.
exactly. Um, so what role does self-love and self-awareness play in creating a fulfilling life?
Oh my God, these are such good questions. So everything it plays, it is the role. It is the role because if you don't love yourself, then if you don't love yourself unconditionally, one, you're never truly going to be able to love anyone else.
Mm,
Two, you're always going to fall short of taking care of yourself. You're always going to fall short of your own health and wellness journey. You're never going to really be able to conquer and crush those goals. You have to just accept whatever it is that you dislike about yourself and either make it better or learn to let it go and move past it. Um, Self love and self advocacy are two of the most important things I think that a human being can have.
mm,
Is unconditional love for yourself. That way you don't seek validation from other people. Um, you always have the courage to stand up for yourself. You always have the courage to get up and do whatever it is that you're trying to do,
mm,
whatever it is that you're trying to conquer. And then, yeah, it's crucial. I mean, without it, you'll never do anything to your full potential.
mm. So, like, in on the matter of self-love, because this comes up a lot, right? And everyone has like different views and perspectives, but like, what does self-love mean to you?
I consider self love to be not needing validation from anyone.
Mm,
I consider self-love to be me taking care of myself,
mm,
going to a doctor, constantly like maintaining myself, making sure I get to the dentist, taking care of my whole organic body,
mm,
inside and out, making sure that I eat well, making sure that I have proper hygiene, making sure that I have every basic needs. That's all self-love, and it's part of self-care. Like you have to, but I love myself enough to make sure that I have those self-care routines.
yeah,
But it's also self-respect. So self-respect comes with self-love because when you love yourself truly and wholly, your self-respect isn't worth giving it up for.
exactly, exactly. Can you share a success story from one of your clients that deeply impacted you?
Definitely, I have a ton. This is actually a fun one, so I'm going to use this one. This one impacted me in a really like kind of like goofy way, but I've been training with this one woman, and she said that I could share this actually because we were like making jokes about it. Um, but I was training her for like 6 months, and she's ridiculously strong. It got to the point where her and I were doing the same program, and that doesn't happen very often. Um, and then we went and we did her in body, which is kind of like a scan, which will tell you how much muscle mass you have and how much fat loss you've had or gained, and just to know if the program's working. So we
Mm,
did hers, and she had like 12 pounds of muscle mass. She was down 6 pounds of body fat. Hydration was on point, crazy toned, and we were both just like so happy. The whole rest of the day, all I did was smile. I took a picture of the results. Like I was gonna frame it because so far it's like the best client transformation that I've had.
mm,
And she was happy. Like she was so happy that it made me more happy. So it was definitely just like a beautiful thing.
nice. And like, if you don't mind, what was like her process? How long did it take her? And like the transformation itself, like, was it a huge? Obviously, it was a huge one because it's inspiring. But yeah, stop.
So the way that it works, how I break it down for my clients is I break everything down into a yearly schedule. So you have your first quarter, your first 3 months is just consistency. You
Mm,
literally just trying to maintain consistency. Your second quarter, you have your consistency, and now you incorporate nutrition. So
mm,
you have consistency, nutrition, then you have your third quarter. Now you're just trying to maintenance this into your life. This is your everyday life. Then you have your lifestyle.
mm,
Now, this is your lifestyle. This is what you do every day. If you
yeah,
break it down into that year segment, you're not going to have one, so much pressure. Two, you're not going to be as quick to just quit because you're allowing yourself the grace that you need to really learn this. Like it's not easy, right? It's a hard lifestyle, but that's why people get things done.
exactly.
So, um, if you break it down into that quarter, the way that I do for the majority of my clients,
Mm,
into those 4 quarters, guaranteed success. And then consistency can really look like 2 or 3 days a week at the gym,
mm.
depending on what your goals are. Do you want to lose, do you want to just gain muscle? Do you want to just be strong? Are you looking to drop body fat? It really just depends on your goals. But I think people that haven't been doing any physical activity at all, they need to know that even just doing a walk is enough.
It's so like just the walk thing. Is that to like build up like your body's endurance?
Yes, and it's cardiovascular, right? So
Yeah.
anything that gets your heart rate up a little bit um, is definitely has its benefits.
Mm,
So even if you haven't been super, if you've been super like sedentary and you haven't been very active, then definitely getting up and just taking a walk is a good start.
nice. And then this is kind of like secondary, right? I'm asking for a friend. But for someone that has like, let's say someone has like maybe not done exercise in, I don't know, like months and months, right? And then they go to the gym. Would you recommend them like burst working out? And you know what I mean by that, like just going full on gung ho.
No, absolutely not. The best thing to do is to do a really good warm up stretch and then do a couple of days of mobility. So just doing mobility work, just getting your body to move, getting it back to use, like getting in a squat position. Can you hinge correctly? Making sure that you're using your core. I would go a solid week of alternating between stretching and mobility. And then I would jump into my routine, but I would start at light weights and I would be careful.
Yeah, because it can cause like damage to the muscles and stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have muscle tears.
I used to have this argument all the time. Not even argument. It was just like, hey, like I always tell people I'm allergic to the gym. I love swimming. That's my
Hmm.
thing.
Nice.
But working out, not really like something I'll be like, oh hey, I'm gonna go to the gym. But I have. And the partners that I've gone to go work out with, like they're just hardcore, oh yeah, lifting
Yeah.
weights. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea for
Yeah.
me.
You're
For
right.
um, what advice would you give to someone doubting their ability to change their life?
You're in your own way. Um, you have to get out of your own way and you have to get out of your head. Um, and that's probably like the nicest way I could say it. I like when people give it to me straightforward and they're just, this is what it is. Um, you will always be your biggest critic
Mhm,
and you're in your own way from crushing your goals. And
mhm,
if you're in a place where you just don't know what to do and you don't, I would always start with therapy. If you don't have a therapist, you should get one. I'm going to go to therapy for the rest of my life. It's so nice to be able to talk to somebody and have somebody redirect you in a situation. And not because you need validation, but just because you need to see it from a different perspective.
exactly.
Um, it's a beautiful thing. So if
Mhm.
like you're really, really stuck and you don't know what to do and you're like struggling, I would start with therapy.
Nice. Okay. So, what inspired you to write your cookbook, and what can readers expect to get from it?
Yeah. Oh, so that's so exciting. So it was my first cookbook, and so you can expect just some really nice, quick, under 45-minute recipes. So
Mm,
that was really my goal, was to try to help people eat somewhat clean, but it's not like crazy just vegetables, complex carbs and protein. Like it's very like versatile. There's a lot of variety.
mm,
Um, and I'm like really excited about it. So you can find it on Amazon. So what I'm telling people is just put my name into Amazon. It tends to like work a little bit easier. But if you go in the search bar and you just put Samantha Mazola,
mm,
um, the link will pop up. The book is called Transformation. And the goal was to try to make quick, healthy meals in under an hour.
mm.
Because again, when you live a very active lifestyle, time is of the essence.
Oh,
So you have to be kind of careful. You have to prep, you have to really plan. Um, and then I have a new book coming out, which I'm really, really excited about. So that's coming out at the end of spring, and that's called Transformation the Plan. And that is a fitness manual, which breaks down fitness literally from A to Z. I started super, super beginner friendly all the way to advanced. And then there's comorbidities and all types of like mobility work. So if you had a knee injury, if you had a broken arm, if you had something like an amputee, it's made for everybody. I
mm,
tried to come up with as many like scenarios as I possibly could to make sure that it was really all inclusive.
mm. I
And
love
then it's
that.
paired. That was one of the best parts, was that I paired every workout with a recipe.
What?
Yeah.
That's different. You don't see that. Like
That's
I
what my goal was, because there's so many of us doing the same thing. But like I don't feel like people are breaking it down enough. Like if you were to have this workout, this like super high intensity strength workout because you want to build muscle, then you want to pair that with this recipe. If you want to be lean and tone and you're looking for this goal, then you can do this workout and then you can pair it with this recipe.
I love that. And then so what's your cookbook? And you answered I was getting ready to ask you about the second book, but you you answered that first. So is this if someone was like vegan or like vegetarian, is there something to accommodate them recipe wise in um in the cookbook?
So not so much vegan. It was really just vegetarian and then pescatarian that I took into consideration for that. I do have gluten-free options.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but because I try to base it so much around protein, sometimes I struggle a little bit with that, because I do want to make it so that there's so much variety and I'm incorporating like all the different diets, but it's a little bit tricky, like given like I'm trying to make sure that it's balanced, like it's macro balance, so protein, carbs,
Mhm.
and fats and healthy fats.
For sure. And what's the importance of like macros for anyone that doesn't even know?
Yeah, it's super important. So it's pretty much just the breakdown of grams that you should be consuming as far as nutrients goes. So you'll consume a certain percentage of protein, a certain percentage of healthy fats, a certain percentage of carbohydrates. And it's a way for you to be able to track that. So you can see how much protein that you were able to intake that day, how much fats, how much carbohydrates.
Yes. How does your work as a coach and entrepreneur tie into your mission of transformation?
Yeah. I think a leadership a little bit. So being able to kind of like take on those roles and say, listen, this is my dream. I'm going to go out and get it. This is what I'm going to go and chase. Um, I feel like it's kind of like helped me understand my life purpose a little bit. My life purpose is definitely to help people, and to help heal in various ways.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, if you can go back and give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, that's me. It would be patient. You're smarter than you think.
Mm,
You got this.
nice. So, like, was it? Why that piece of advice? I'm just curious.
Yeah, because I was really hard on myself.
Mm,
Growing up, I had people that were like really hard on me. So as I kind of like transitioned into an adolescent and then slowly into an adult, I was extremely hard on myself and not very patient with myself.
your son went out.
Oh, sorry about that. Um, I didn't allow myself the time and the grace that I needed to complete certain tasks and feel really good about it.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how did you learn like to turn that around for yourself?
Um, I think I taught myself to do that. I really had to like sit with myself and try to figure out like what not what was wrong with me, but what was wrong with like the lifestyle I was living and how I was leading my house and the type of role model that I was. I wasn't
Mhm,
happy with it at all.
mhm,
Um, so I sat down and made a list of goals, and I really individualized my goals. What are my goals? My goal is to be a really good role model. My goal is to try to lead by example. My goal is to accomplish X amount of tasks in this year.
mhm.
Um, and then what is it going to take for me to get to those goals? And then I just started scheduling it. I literally just started making calls. I just started reaching out. The amount of work that goes into the business and marketing and just like entrepreneurship period behind the scenes, I think
Mhm.
is underestimated.
For sure. For anyone that might be considering like going into entrepreneurship, like, do you have any advice or suggestions as to maybe if you something you would have done differently if you knew then what you know now?
Yeah, so I would say just do it. Definitely do
Mm,
it. Just jump right into it. It's not it's not as difficult as it seems, it's more intimidating than anything, but you always find your people. Like, for example, I started my LLC through LegalZoom.
mm,
So there are companies out there that can help you. You can always Google like LLC depending on what kind of which way you're going like in your entrepreneurship. But my advice would be to just do it and then trial and error. You mess things up as you go, you figure it out and you just keep going.
yeah.
And then what was the second part of the question?
I think you answered it. What advice would you give someone who's new to entrepreneurship? If you knew then what you know now.
Oh, and then the other thing that I wanted to say was stick to the plan. So
Mm,
when you start your entrepreneurship, at some point in the beginning of it, you create a business plan.
mm,
A business plan is super crucial to your business because you're writing out your goals, but you're taking baby steps to figure out how to get there.
mm.
Um, the one thing that I didn't do that I should have done more of is went back to the plan. Went back to the plan and stuck to it instead of making changes.
Wow. Do you feel like like because you didn't do it in that way, like you had to learn things that you could have been avoided?
Yeah, absolutely. I had to make a lot of mistakes because I and if you go through the plan A to Z and you completely complete the plan, now you have a completed plan, now you can adjust it.
Mm,
But if you keep interrupting that plan and adding things to it, now you're trying to conquer too many things at once and it gets messy.
yeah.
So I suggest hitting that plan A to Z, comb
Mm,
through it, get through it, and then you can edit it afterwards.
mm,
One thing I wanted to say too is so all the advice that I got on starting my business, I got through North Shore Community College. So there's like all types of like free community services. I was actually paired with a small business advisor and it was completely 100% free.
mm.
And she actually helped me figure out how I could create an LLC and took me through the steps I needed to make my business plan.
Wow.
And I think
Um,
that's super important to know because there's a lot of free resources that will help you start a business.
wow. And see, I didn't even know that that was a thing, so you just taught me something. What do you consider the most rewarding part of your work?
I would say definitely seeing the success of the people that I work with.
Mm,
Um, it brings me a lot of joy to know that people are reaching their goals and that I'm helping them feel happy in their success.
I love that. It probably gives like a feeling of fulfillment knowing that you've made an impact on people in that way, you know.
It
So
definitely does. It makes me so happy.
all right. And what is the next step for you in your journey, both personally and professionally?
Awesome. That's a good question. So personally, it's really to just continue to grow every day and to be the best parent that I can be. Um, and then professionally, I think it's going to be to take a little bit of a break. I'm still going to take clients. I'm still going to see all of my people, but after I publish this second book, I really want to kind of just try to rest a little bit.
Mm, yeah, that's definitely super important. I think when we
Yeah,
get so lost in, our goals and plans and dreams and aspirations, and then especially like extending ourselves, sometimes we forget that one important thing, which is the rest, the rest part. Um,
exactly.
so where can the audience find you? Where can they connect with you?
So you can find me on my website at coachingintotransformation.com or on Instagram at Samantha's M World, and then my same name on TikTok.
Okay, let me throw this up there for you. Make sure, did I get that right?
Yep,
Okay. All right. And then
perfect.
just just in closing, is there any special message or like final takeaways that you would want to contribute to the audience?
Really just that I think that everybody has personal goals, and if you really just work super hard, you can achieve them.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think on the matter of like, with the goals and working hard, that's where you really get to see like if you're serious enough about something, right? You're not really going to let anything deter you from, you might fall off a little bit the path, but never knock you all the way off.
Right, right, exactly.
So I absolutely love that. And I want to thank you so much for your time today and being here on the podcast. I definitely learned a lot from you today. And for my audience, I want to thank you guys for being present and tuning into this episode. Please make sure you leave a comment down below. Tell me what your biggest takeaway is. What are some of your goals in relation to health and just balancing yourself? Also, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Also, check out Samantha at the website coachingintotransformation.com to find out more. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.